to be on the Invincible.
That was lit.
This man right here is a bad man.
We can do some damage on some churros down there.
Yeah!
Welcome back to Invincible, the show where we tell the tales of the plays, the players, and the pursuit of becoming invincible both on and off the field. My name is Vince Wolfram, and I have the newest local soccer team snack delivery man with me here, Canyon Sheeran. Wait until you guys hear this story, right? It's always weird when you get the random text from a random number you don't know. It's even weirder when they ask you to bring snacks. Talk to me, Kay.
Yeah, so I was just enjoying my day, and I checked my phone, and it was like, hey, here, you're in charge of snacks this week, and it was like a QR code to scan. And I was like, yeah, I'm not scanning that. But I got an update today. I also did not respond. I'd like to make that prevalently clear. I did not respond. But today they double texted me. They went to the double text method. They let me know that snacks are covered. Somebody had leftover snacks, so snacks are covered. I might respond to that text. I might not. Probably not. I thought about low-key saying, got it. Like, I'll be on it. But I don't want to leave somebody without snacks. I know me, when I was playing sports growing up, I loved my snacks after the game. You got to love the snacks. The snack moms, the snack, those were the saviors back in the day. And, yeah, I'm not going to ruin their mojo, but I think they do need to figure out that they're texting the wrong person. So I might just let them know, hey, you got the wrong number by maybe a few digits. I don't know. But somebody's got it covered this week. Me not responding is doing no harm right now. So that's how I feel. And, yeah, you also forgot to mention that I started my Saturday at Dutch Bros. I feel like we have to mention that every Saturday starts at Dutch Bros. If you're not starting your Saturday at Dutch Bros, I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're making coffee at home, saving some money, which I need to probably do myself. But Dutch Bros Golden Eagle ripped, was amazing, fantabulous, and I'm ready to talk about college ball. Enough about the snack talks and the Dutch Bros talks. Let's talk college ball.
Okay, at least one thing. If you're going to pick a snack for the team and you will actually come through and deliver, what snack are you bringing?
Ooh, I used to love orange slices.
Bring it on.
Orange slices. Come on, dude. Whenever the team mom personally cut up those orange slices for us, and they were in those little baggies, orange slices were the jam, man.
And maybe some career numbers.
Oh my gosh, you're going to have yourself a day if you get some oranges as your team snack. That's a winner's mentality snack right there.
Come on, bringing it. We're bringing it this week as Canyon brings the snacks to the team. We're going to start in the SEC. It was certainly an SEC-heavy college football Saturday for us. We'll start with the headliner, I think, of ranked matchup-wise, right? Number 8, Ole Miss at number 13, Oklahoma. Ole Miss coming off a tough one last week against Georgia. Oklahoma then got back in the win column, beating South Carolina after losing the Red River rivalry the week before. Talk to me about this one and what you think and how Ole Miss ended up winning this one.
Yeah, Ole Miss won this game through a mix of their RPO savvy with Trinidad Chambliss and using that RPO really, really a lot, right? Trinidad threw the ball 44 times. So that was a lot of trust in Lane Kiffin to let him sling it. And to be honest, the way they won this game was just a mutually really good offensive attack. Their defense made a few critical stops they needed to make. But when you look at the stats and the metrics, Ole Miss had 21 first downs. Oklahoma only had 14. When you look at passing yards, Ole Miss had about 70 more passing yards, if I can do math correctly. Well, that's more like, don't trust my math. Don't trust my math. Yeah, it's about 70, though. I got my math right. And then the only thing Oklahoma won that was really shocking to me, what we've been saying Oklahoma needed to establish to win games in the SEC was a run game. But the run game was really, really good for them. They averaged 4.9 yards per rush for Oklahoma. Whereas for Ole Miss, they only averaged 2.8 yards. So for Oklahoma, this was a game that was, everything you thought they needed to do, they did, right? But they lost physicality defensively, and they lost in their secondary, which I think I've been saying since week 1, since week 2, since they played Michigan, is that I didn't really get to see how that secondary got tested, right? And now we've seen that secondary get tested against Texas and against Ole Miss, and that secondary is folded a little bit. And Oklahoma lost time possession by 11 minutes. You can't lose time possession by 11 minutes and expect to win the ball game. Well, on very rarity. Ole Miss also won the turnover battle 1-0. You got to win the turnover battle if you want to win the game. But for Ole Miss, this game was just really won by a really dynamic offense and their defense coming up clutch when they needed to get a stop. And honestly, where's the John Mateer that we were watching the first few weeks of college football is really going to be my question, because I feel like we haven't seen that same John Mateer. And is it due to the level of competition, due to a little hand soreness still being there? I don't know what it is, but I haven't seen John Mateer at that Heisman level again since we saw him that way against Michigan.
Yeah, since he's come back, he has looked like a different player, not the one we've seen in those first 3 weeks of college football. And I guess we can start with that because I don't want to overlook what Ole Miss's defense did. Pete Golding, they got his team, his group up and going in this one. They forced Oklahoma to go 4 for 14 on third down, 1 for 3 on fourth down. Oklahoma ran 16 points off in just the third quarter. And after that, I think Oklahoma fans kind of scratching their head like, where in the world did the offense go? Because they had chances. Like Ole Miss early in the third quarter went for it on 4th and 1 from its own 25, had a mishandle on the snap. The whole play just kind of went to nothing, gave the Sooners the ball on the Ole Miss 15-yard line, and they only got 3 out of it. You got to capitalize in those situations. And we know John Mateer to not be invincible in terms of making mistakes, right? But Ole Miss forced him to make some throws, some rushed decisions, I thought. He moved through his reads really quickly. I even think on that 4th down that gave Ole Miss the ball back, basically to ice the game and run out the clock. He had the drop down right to his running back, but overlooked it and was going for the touchdown. Just kind of little things like that I think Ole Miss defense deserves credit for, because they forced him into making those decisions. I also think Lane Kiffin deserves a lot of credit with the amount of noise that's being thrown around lately about the Florida job, the Penn State job, all these jobs opening up. I think we're watching something really cool here with Lane Kiffin, because it's like we're watching a more mature nature come out of him. I know he had the press conference where he was not the press conference, the post-game interview where he was talking to the Oklahoma player, which is honestly more humorous than it was immature, I thought. But great coaching. I think he's building something different than we've previously seen Lane Kiffin teams build. And what this game was for me on offense was the flip of what the Georgia game was last week. Last week, up 9 in the third quarter against Georgia, didn't sign up to show up in the fourth quarter, and they lost. This time was the opposite. You mentioned time of possession. I thought that was huge. Running game down the stretch wasn't what Ole Miss had hoped, and you pointed that out too. But I think when you have Trinidad Chambliss, you can make do of that. In his 6 starts this year, he's had 1 game where he didn't throw 300 yards. Like, the dude has a cannon. He had 315, I think you said, in this one. He's done it against everybody. So I think Ole Miss is proving win by win, week by week, that they're not only improving, but that they're a pretty elite team.
Yeah, I think if anything for Ole Miss fans, this is a really good win. I think they should celebrate this one. And like you said, the defense is probably the most underrated, underlooked at thing. Like, the defense made stops they needed to. Like you mentioned, that 4th down where they, John Mateer could have taken the short dump, instead went for the big bang. But I think overall, this was just a good SEC ball game, and a ball game where Trinidad Chambliss just kind of shined. The way he's able to use his legs and his arms is I think, one of the most underrated factors about him, because he can run that RPO and he can run Lane Kiffin's offense to a T. And what a good story, man. Trinidad coming from where'd he come from? A D2 program,
Yeah.
Ferris State,
Yep.
Ferris State, I think it is. And just what a good story in college football. And Ole Miss, I think that this year they've taken a step under Lane Kiffin, and that defense has taken a step. And I just think Lane Kiffin has trust. I think he's having fun. I think Ole Miss is having a lot of fun out there. And I think for Oklahoma fans, you're kind of scratching your head because you did what you needed to do. You ran the football, and you still came out of that game with a loss. So I don't know what the answer is there, but that front 7 has not looked that like it did against Michigan since that game, probably, you could argue, against a real opponent, because certainly that front 7 didn't look that way against Texas, and it didn't look that way against Ole Miss either.
Yeah, and I think for these two teams, it's a tale of 2 finishes, right? You look at what remains for Ole Miss and for Oklahoma. Ole Miss, they play South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State. Oklahoma's schedule that's left is far from easy. At Tennessee, at Bama, Mizzou, and then LSU at home. So 2 tough spots. And I think Ole Miss, I think the question got brought up kind of on a national stage on game day. People were talking about, does Ole Miss, after winning this game, do they have one of the easiest roads the rest of the regular season to that playoff spot, right? We're talking about the Citadel, South Carolina, who did give Alabama a tough test, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But Florida, we'll see how they are without Billy Napier. Mississippi State has proved to be a tough matchup when they're at home. On the road might be a different story. So I think that's a good question to ask. Is Ole Miss primed for a playoff run? And I'm curious to see if Lane Kiffin can kind of maybe break through that glass ceiling that has been over this Ole Miss program that's really kept them from making that jump.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. The rest of their ending schedule was very favorable. If they can win out, obviously they're a college football playoff lock. I think maybe you could even afford one more loss if you're them, but obviously you don't want to take that second loss because you have the wins now to back your schedule up. But if you're Ole Miss, you just got to finish strong and make that college football playoff, something they have not been able to do.
Exactly. 38-26, the final from Norman. Ole Miss emerges victorious. Let's go to where College Game Day was in Nashville. Vanderbilt versus Missouri. This game, I mean, you wanted end of game drama. This game delivered. Hail Mary on the last play from Mizzou. Chance to tie the game if they score a touchdown and make the field goal. It gets caught, but it's stuck at the 1 yard line, gives the Commodores the win. Vandy's best 8-game start since 1941. What'd you see in this one from Vandy that you liked?
Yeah, honestly, I saw a lot more from Mizzou that I liked in this game than I did from
Yep.
Vandy. Diego Pavia didn't play his best game by no means, but statistically, he was 10 for 19, 129 yards, and an interception. Like Diego Pavia did. I know Diego Pavia has swagger, and we like to highlight Diego Pavia whenever Vanderbilt wins. But this game was won by Vanderbilt's defense and a mixture of Bo Pribula getting hurt. There was the video of Bo Pribula's injury, I mean, pretty nasty.
Yeah, I'm not an injury guy. I hate watching them.
Yeah, that was not a good tackle. I will be honest. I don't think that should have happened. But for Vanderbilt, their defense found a way, and I think that's the key for Vanderbilt this game. Is their defense held Mizzou 5 for 16 on third down, and then that defense, because I'm telling you, it was as soon as Bo Pribula went out, it was which defense is better, and I think Vandy's defense proved themselves to be better than Mizzou's. It's kind of where I was at. It's kind of hard to assess a game when you lose your starting quarterback, and that's kind of how I feel about this game. But Vandy won. Vandy finds a way to keep winning, and Vandy is thinking college football playoff or bust now if you're a Vanderbilt fan.
Yeah, and I think Vandy, what makes that defense relatively special is just that they're complementary, right? We know what the offense can do. Diego Pavia is elite in getting his pieces on offense involved and making that offense elite. But, I mean, that's their third win against a top 15 team this season. Ahmad Hardy, the SEC's best rusher, he ran for 97 yards on 20 carries. I think if you told Missouri that he was that close to a 100-yard game, they probably would have thought they were in a good spot. And the box score, usually it doesn't tell any lies, but in this game, if you read the box score, you're wondering, and the final score was what? Because Mizzou led in first downs, third down, and fourth down efficiency. In total yards, they had the same amount of penalties, same amount of turnovers, and had the ball for 11 more minutes than Vandy. But it was the plays I thought when it mattered most where Vandy capitalized, and that's why they won. And we know that for Vanderbilt, everything runs through Diego, right? He's never done. He's bend, don't break. That's been the mantra for this team. And when Vandy's had games like this in previous years, like that's the bevy of issues that's turned into losses in years past for this Commodores program. They went 3 and out 3 times. They had 8 penalties for 83 yards. Season low in terms of total offense. So this is a game Vandy probably walks out of. And every, I think, championship team has one of these games where you walk out and say, well, we did not play well, but we managed to pull it out. And that's exactly where I think Vanderbilt's probably sitting after this one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel about this game. It's hard to really assess, like I said, when a team loses their starting quarterback, but Vandy found a way to win. And sometimes it's about just finding a way to win in the SEC, man. You just got to – it's a gauntlet, and every damn Saturday you're going to be playing a damn good ball club, so you better strap up your chin straps and get ready to play ball. Gosh, that was a horrible thing for me to say. I can't believe I just said that. But, yeah, my bad. But Vanderbilt, I guess they strapped up their chin strap and they were ready to ball. To an extent, they found a way. That's the key.
Yeah, they definitely found a way, and I think what it does is, whether inherently or not, it builds a little separation, right? Vandy with another top 15 win on their schedule, and for Mizzou, obviously the quarterback gets hurt. That's a different thing. Can Zollers be the guy? We'll see. But they are still a 2-loss football team, and in the SEC right now, that's a tough spot to be. So I think it builds some separation. And Vanderbilt, like the rest of the way, they play at Texas versus Auburn. They get a bye week, then Kentucky, then at Tennessee. So not an easy road for Vandy the rest of the way. They're going to have a couple more games to prove what they can do. One last, I guess we got two more games in the SEC, the next of which, number 4, Alabama at South Carolina. I think coming into this one, nobody expected this to be the barn burner that it was, the one that raised your blood pressure a little higher than maybe you had expected, because Alabama had been playing so well. South Carolina has been struggling, starving for a win. And I want to note this before we get into it. Kaleb DeBoer, in one-score games since his time at Fresno State, is 20-7. And I don't think that happens for no reason. His demeanor, he's so stoic, and who I think takes after him best is Ty Simpson. His quarterback is an extension of the coach, and whenever you have that, you have a dangerous combo. Simpson's a guy who you want in the moments like this, when you're losing in the fourth quarter, when you're losing majority of the game, right? His ability to manage tough situations really stood out to me. You're down 8 points with under 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, and from that point, Simpson's 9 of 12, 60 yards and a touchdown just in that time. So for Bama to be down 8 in the fourth quarter, their largest fourth quarter comeback since 2021 at Auburn, to come back and win this game on the road, never easy. So I'm giving props to the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I think Alabama deserves a lot of credit for this game. Also, credit to South Carolina. They played up to their level of opponent. They've had a really tough season. They're 3-5, 1-5 in the SEC. It has not been an easy slate for them going on. But for Bama, you find another way to win. Bernard, just an absolute masterclass. Tim Keenan forcing the fumble, not even really realizing he forced the fumble. I thought that was pretty funny. Tim Keenan forced the fumble and didn't even really realize he forced it. I think this game was a barn burner, like you called, and it was just one of those games where you don't know who's going to win. They were pretty similar statistically the way they matched up, and that's the thing. They both had 2 turnovers. They both were about 8 for 16 and 6 for 17 on third down. Alabama had 17 first downs. South Carolina had 18. When you look at the box score of this game, which I know people don't like box score watching, but you got to look at the stats to really understand the game. This game was 100% closer than Bama could have lost this game. When South Carolina had that ball and they fumbled, Bernard, a really good play when he got that ball in his hands to give Alabama that 7-point lead. But overall, I just thought Bama played a really average ball game, but a ball game good enough for them to get a win at South Carolina. And credit to South Carolina too, because South Carolina showed up ready to play. Lenore Sellers, 18 of 32, 222 yards. He also had 67 yards on the ground. That was the Lenore Sellers we've been waiting to see all season. I think was the biggest pull away for this game. And I think Lenore Sellers played up to the level of competition, whereas lately he's been playing down. And I thought overall, though, Ty Simpson still had himself a good day. He does a great job protecting the ball and not turning it over. And I think you've got to be able to do that as a quarterback. Not turning over the ball is a huge factor. He was 24 43, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw the ball 43 times. I think when you throw the ball that much, it shows a massive trust. I think Chambliss, Trinidad for Ole Miss, threw it 44 times, right? So if that shows anything from an offensive coordinator, Grubb and Simpson, that they're really trusting. They built a very trusting relationship, and one that's really good, one that's kind of taken over college football right now with the way Ty Simpson's playing. So I thought that was just phenomenal. And then, South Carolina, just brutal. They needed that one win, right? A signature win would have been really nice for them after the year they've had in the SEC. But unfortunately, they fall. And Alabama just keeps winning, man. That's a team that just keeps winning. And I think when you get to this point in the SEC play, you're going to have close games. You're going to have close games. Go look at everybody. Go look at what Kentucky did to Georgia a few years ago. You're going to have close games in the SEC that you don't expect to have. And I think for Alabama, just getting out of there with a win and the tie keep rolling. I think that's the mantra, right? The tie just got to keep rolling. And right now they're rolling. And their number 4 team ranking is still legit. I don't want anybody to try to delegitimize Alabama for this close game. South Carolina on the road is a hard environment to play. That is a totally tough environment. And can't lie and say that South Carolina didn't come out ready to play ball, because they did. But Alabama finds a way, and I mean, just Ty Simpson. I mean, the way they don't run the ball at all for that offense is so inefficiently running the football right now for Alabama, and the way Ty Simpson can carry that team on his arm is just so impressive and cool to see.
Yeah, and South Carolina, obviously, they're playing with their backs to the wall, right? They have really nothing to lose, and you could tell they wanted it. And that's, I think, what put them in the game for the majority. And in the first half, it was exactly like you mentioned, stopping the run. Bama had 2 rushing yards in the first half. And in the second half, it did improve. Jeremy Bernard scored 2 touchdowns in the final 2.5 minutes. But what I think, to your very point, is Alabama uses the pass game as an extension of their running game. Ryan Grubb is the play caller. I thought in short yardage situations in this game, he was masterful. The touchdown that ended up, I think, either putting them up or tying the game, the gotta have it kind of touchdown situations in the fourth quarter. The play scheme and the plays they draw up, the 2-point conversion play. I don't know if you remember that one. They snap the ball to the running back, pitch it to Simpson, a fake reverse to the wide receiver coming across, and he finds the tight end in the end zone, and that's what ties the game. Things like that. Bama can lean on the coaching in those situations while also leaning on the players to execute that coaching. That's where I think Bama is really elite. And to your point on the defense, yes, the run game has to improve. That was my last point on the offense. But for defense, the way that Alabama defends the pass is elite. Their defense against the run game, I think, is maybe an area they're looking to improve, right? They're a little leaky on that front because they did let Lenoris Sellers get out and scramble a little bit. A lot of them got taken away by flags, but regardless, he was able to get loose. The games that they've struggled are the games where they let the opposing run offense beat their run defense. And that's something I know DeBoer is probably talking about in meetings this week that they have to clean up.
Yeah, Alabama hates seeing a running quarterback. It's been like this for a while now. Alabama is not fans of a running quarterback. So, but yeah, overall, Alabama find a way to win. That's a hard place to play. And that's just all credit to Alabama for going out there and winning that ball game. Because I don't think any coach in the SEC would want to go play at South Carolina, even if they're 1-5 in SEC play, even if they've had a horrible year. South Carolina is known to rise to the occasion against these good teams. Look what they did to Tennessee a few years back when Tennessee was a college football playoff contender. So South Carolina just is able to, able to run.
Whoa!
Excuse me again.
Stay with me here, boss man. Stay with me. Don't
Sorry. No, South Carolina is just able to rise up to the level of competition. So if you're an Alabama fan, just be glad you got out of there with a win and keep it moving.
Yeah, proves the Bama legitimacy. 29-17 final from Columbia. Now let's go down to the Bayou. Number 3 Texas A&M versus number 20 LSU. Let's start with this. The Aggies strength and conditioning coach, Tommy Moffitt, who was a 3-time national champion at LSU as a strength and conditioning coach, he got fired by Brian Kelly in December of 2021 from LSU. And going up against the guy that fired him, Marcel Reed, after the game, the quarterback for Texas A&M, they said Moffitt put Kelly's face on a tackling dummy on Thursday. And Reed said, we all started kicking and stomping it. Definitely played a little bit up to this game for Moffitt. They played like that. And I know A&M has never, I don't think they've ever won an SEC championship, but they're still the only remaining team in unbeaten team in the SEC. Impressive, nonetheless. I think there's no denying what A&M is now. They've come in to a tough opposing stadiums and home stadiums with tough teams, and they've won consistently. They're still unbeaten.
For A&M, I mean, you couldn't have hoped for a better start the way they've gotten out. It's almost a dream start for them. And I think when you look at their schedule too, their remaining opponents, it's almost like they've got, I think at Texas is a long, hard one. The last one that's hard, I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But A&M is just playing really, 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 really good football right now. They're playing really sound football on both sides of the ball. They rushed for 224 yards. Now, 110 of those yards was Marcel Reed. And I will say the loss of Whit Weeks in that matchup as a linebacker right there was probably huge for LSU in terms of keeping him contained. But they could not keep Marcel Reed contained. And Marcel Reed, I mean, they lost the turnover battle. They threw 2 picks, right? They threw 2 picks and they still won by 24 points, if my math is correct. So, like, that's just one of those things where that's just a team of dogs. That A&M defense is dog-like. Like that Mike Elko, he loves his Diet Coke, but he loves his defense even more. And I'm just really shocked by that this was the outcome of this game. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Death Valley look like that entering a fourth quarter in my entire life. Yeah. My uncle who was at the game said that it almost felt, he's just never felt something like that, right? Like he said he's never seen the stadium like that, Death Valley at night. And I think that goes true to anybody who's watching that game. We know Death Valley at night to be one of the hardest places to play. I think they've only lost there like 17 times since like 2000 something. Yeah, so like they don't really lose in Death Valley at night. That was just really, really impressive from Marcel Reed. He's got to clean up the interceptions if they really are going to be national title contenders, in my opinion. I think they definitely are contenders, but if they want to win it all, he's got to clean up those interceptions because against really good teams, you throw those 2 picks and you probably lose those ball games. Luckily for them, it didn't matter because Marcel Reed was just unstoppable that night against them. Besides his picks, he looked like dynamic. He looked like a potential contender for the Heisman. But overall, that defense just – I don't know if we can say enough things about that defense. I know this LSU offense has been really bad and kind of in a blunder, but that A&M defense after halftime, I mean, I've never seen a team come out of halftime and put belt to tail so bad like I just watched A&M do to LSU. And it's just shocking because it's at LSU, man. I think that was the part that didn't comprehend to a lot of people was the fact that this is what happened at LSU. Like, they didn't just do this in College Station. They did this in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Death Valley at night. They won by 24 points. That is absurd.
Yeah. I think the level of preparation for A&M is what really sets them apart. And Mike Elko said entering halftime, they're losing, right, to Brian Kelly's squad. Elko told his team, you're the better team, and if you don't play better football, you're going to let this one slip away. Well, no slip, no face full of dirt for the Aggies. Now they're off to their best start since 1992. And why I think they play so prepared is how they react when things go wrong. While, yes, there is certainly room for improvement, you mentioned the interceptions, they play like they know everything and that they're ready for everything. The picks, they came on tipped passes. The face of Marcel Reed did not change when those interceptions happened. And if anything, he came out more charged up, ready to score touchdowns after those interceptions. Because despite the numbers on the scoreboard, I don't even know that, because they did score a lot of points, I don't even know that this A&M team has really even hit their groove fully on offense. I think they have another gear that they can reach. And the sequence that was most interesting to me was before the half, because they scored 2 touchdowns to open the game super fast. And then they had a safety, a block punt, and then 2 interceptions going into halftime. So many teams would fold after that or come out flat. A&M came out and just put pedal to the metal. Like it was, you were watching a new team. A&M's defense, so good on third down. Cassius Howell, the defensive end, he's one of the best in the country. Forced LSU to go 2 for 12 on third down. They sacked Nussmeier 5 times and got him pulled from the game with 6 minutes left. For LSU's defense, it's like they forgot Marcel Reed could run. Like you could tell the linebackers weren't keeping tabs on where in the world Reed was going, and he was beep, beep, running all over them. Pass for 202 yards, rush for 108. You mentioned it. 41-yard scramble for a touchdown. That was the one where I went, okay, yeah, they're really just not accounting for this at all. LSU's defense, they didn't plug gaps. They didn't keep eyes on the quarterback, and that's what ended up costing them. For LSU, it was embarrassing enough to get their coach fired. So I guess we could talk about that now. We know how I felt about the Brian Kelly thing. I talked about it last week when they got dominated, I thought, by Vanderbilt, a game closer than it probably should have been. But Kelly out the door now at LSU. What was your initial thought when you heard this news from Baton Rouge?
My initial thought was, wow, Brian Kelly just got paid, because I know his buyout, I think, was like $60 million.
Yeah, like the best position to be in ever right now is just to be a college football coach and get canned, because you get bread.
Well, because when they fired him, when they hired him over from Notre Dame, they obviously had to give him a very enticing contract, with very, very much so favorable to see him to leave Notre Dame. My thoughts are, I don't know. You can't have a Heisman winner and not make the playoff. There's some certain things that I just think have happened during the Brian Kelly era that kind of just had to, I think it had run its course. And also, if you wait too long and you want to fire him at the end of the season, you don't get your guy, right? Because now there's 2 big dogs in the coaching hiring market, and that's Penn State and LSU. And there might be a few more in terms of Auburn and stuff like that. So, like, I don't want to say it was needed or necessary, but I feel like LSU fans feel like it was needed and necessary at this time for them to be able to get the right guy to move on. And their AD likes to go hire the big names, so I'm interested to see who they go and try to hire this offseason.
Yeah, the coaching carousel at this point, right? It's Florida, it's LSU, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, UCLA, Arkansas, Stanford, Oregon State. Dilfer at UAB got fired. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. I guess of those top schools, do you think LSU now with this head coaching opening just goes right to the top? Do you think they're that level with the Penn States and the Florida in the mix? Because I think it's kind of without a doubt LSU is the top open job in the country.
I think it's in between LSU and Florida. When you look historically, I think it's between those two. Those are the two best head coaching gigs right now that are available. And I'm going to be really, really enticed and interested to see who one of those programs, who both of them hire, honestly. Like, it's going to be for Penn State, though. I've got to feel like, Penn State probably feels like, oh, we made our splash firing. And then now they probably like, damn it. Like, we fired Franklin a little too early because then everybody else is firing their guy. Because if you're Penn State, I think you're third on the totem pole. I hate to say that, but I think
it's the truth.
I would put LSU and Florida ahead of Penn State, and even in terms of like just where they are as a program. And I'm excited to see who these programs hire. I hope nobody hires John Summerall though, because I still want him to be an Auburn Tiger. So I'm just holding out hope for right now.
Yeah, I think that's you and most share that opinion. A&M, I mean, they've scored 40 or more points in their past 4 road games in offense. That's electric, tied for the longest streak in SEC history. One last question for you as we finish our SEC breakdowns here, the big ones. Who do you think you trust most in the SEC right now among the top of the conference?
Probably Alabama, if I'm being fully honest, because you got to have trust in the quarterback, right? You got to have trust in that quarterback that's leading that team. It'd probably be Alabama or Georgia. I know Georgia, just Kirby Smart, what he's proven to do, what Gunnar Stockton's been able to do. It's still one or two. It's still Alabama or Georgia's. I think are the two teams that I'm most confident in. I don't know where you stand on that, but I would still feel like those two teams I'm still more confident in. And I know that's not a knock on A&M. That's just a trust in QB play for UGA and Alabama.
Which I think,
but A&M's right there. A&M's right there. Don't get me wrong.
No, I think that's probably the shared sentiment too, because it's proven success, right? We've seen A&M unfortunately have their season end in ways that they didn't hope or that they didn't want in unfortunate fashion, right? But Alabama and Georgia have proved it. The coaches have made college football playoff national championships and have competed at that level, where A&M, we just haven't seen it yet. And while A&M might be playing the best football right now and winning the most, obviously, because they're still undefeated on the season, as well as Alabama is undefeated in SEC play, I think it's hard to go against those proven commodities. While I do think I'm right there with you, I would have thrown A&M. I would have said it was a 3-horse race with Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M, maybe with Georgia and Alabama putting their nose out a little bit further. But I think A&M's right there. It's certainly a tough one to know who you trust most. I can't wait until they maybe see each other again here down the road. All right, let's get out of the SEC. Let's do something different. Let's shake it up here. Number 11, BYU at Iowa State. This one was, I mean, you want to talk about 4 quarters, each quarter being a different story. This is exactly what that was. But the Cougars managed to stay undefeated and then win 41-27. What'd you see?
Yeah, I saw Iowa State team start this game like they wanted to win this game, but I realized as I was watching that game, Rocco Beck started throwing a little bit more turnovers. He had 3 interceptions on the day, 24 of 36, 311, 1 touchdown pass, 3 interceptions. As soon as I saw those interceptions start trickling, it was kind of like the writing was going on the wall, but Iowa State still had a really good day offensively. I mean, like, we love talking about stats. They had more offensive yards, more rushing yards, less penalties, but they did have 4 turnovers. And when you have 4 turnovers, you're not going to usually win the ball game. I wanted to talk about this BYU game when you said, let's do one non-SEC, because I want to give a chance to talk about Bear Bachmeier. What he's been able to do as a true freshman for BYU is unheard of. And I'm super impressed by BYU. I mean, he had 22 of 35, 307 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He had 49 yards rushing on 12 attempts with a touchdown rushing. I mean, what he's doing as a true freshman right now at BYU is super, super impressive. And when we kind of opened up the slate of we need to talk about a non-SEC game, it was my chance to feel like we need to shout out BYU, because they're 8-0, they're 5-0 in the Big 12, and they're making some noise. That's my quick shout out to BYU. I know we're not going to talk about this game for absurdly long, but that was really impressive to go at Iowa State and win that game. That's just a really good win for BYU, and BYU is getting closer and closer and closer to that college football playoff appearance. And I think this might be the year for BYU, which if BYU does that with a true freshman at quarterback, I think that'll set a new, like a wow. Like a wow. BYU, if you're able to do that with a true freshman, because most teams with a true freshman barely struggle to win a bowl game. So to be able to do what he's doing as a true freshman is just absurd to me. Yeah,
legitimacy boost, I think, is probably the perfect word to describe a good win like this. He has 2 receivers with over 100 yards. You mentioned his stats already. The third win for BYU on the road where they've trailed by multiple scores. And so similar to Alabama, how I mentioned that Kaleb DeBoer stat, it's the same thing here. They're able to win games, and that's what a championship culture does. They took their first lead in the third quarter. They were down 24-10 late in the first half. Big 79-yard drive, opened it back up, got that offense rolling. And you mentioned Rocco Beck, career high in interceptions in this one. The last one with 1:15 left that basically let BYU run out the clock and seal the game. Cyclones, they've now lost three games in a row for the first time since 2022. So it's been a while since they've had this kind of skid for the Cyclones. And the Cougars, though, I mean, nothing but props and applause, right? They're rolling straight through this Big 12 schedule. They're 8-0 in back-to-back seasons for the first time in program history, a program on the ups. 14 straight games scoring more than 30 points. An offensive heater from the Cougars. And I know that that Bear's a guy that we've kind of kept tabs on a little bit. I think we've mentioned that we've thrown in the BYU mention a couple of times, but I think they're proving now that they're for real.
Yeah, I would fully agree with you. We had to take credit to talk about that because what he's doing as a freshman, man, and what BYU and that program's doing, I just super, super impressive, and all props to them, because going to Iowa State and winning in Ames is not an easy task, right? Like, that's not like a lot of teams don't go to Ames and win. Like, I think Oklahoma lost at nighttime at Ames when Lincoln Riley was there, because that's just a hard place to play when you're in the Big 12. And BYU went in there and won pretty confidently, which is huge for the program.
Yeah, let's keep talking about these non-SEC teams as we go now to the poll patrol. Your fast pass through the top 25. Canyon, you've got odds, I've got evens. I think we're going to have a lot of overlap here in probably these first, call it 15, because a lot of those guys played each other. But let's kick it off. Ohio State, they were on a bye, right, at number 1?
Yeah, they didn't play.
Indiana 56-6 win over UCLA. Aiden Fisher picked off the first pass of the game. 50 seconds into the ball game, returned it for a touchdown. Fernando Mendoza and his brother Alberto both had rushing touchdowns. Love a little brotherly love there for IU. UCLA, we thought they might look better because they had 3 wins with Coach Skipper as the interim, but we have to remember those teams have a combined record of 1-11 in conference play right now. So maybe overhyped UCLA just for a second there. IU extending their school record home winning streak to 14 and enjoying one of their, if not, I think it is their best position in the rankings ever.
It is indeed. Next up, we got A&M at LSU. Like we talked about for a while, A&M wins 49-25. Impressive day from Marcel Reed. Just needs to clean up the turnovers and the interceptions, and he is cooking with gasoline.
Yeah, and I guess we can go 4, 5, 6 here. Alabama, they escaped at South Carolina. We talked about that. 5, Georgia. They were on a bye week. They come back next week. And then number 6, Oregon, 21-7 win over a struggling Wisconsin. This one was kind of opened my eyes a little bit to this Oregon team. A slow start, what you would consider a lackluster performance from them. It was pouring down rain for a little bit. Dante Moore took a knock to the face in the third quarter, left the game. Dan Lanning just said it was kind of one of those dinged up kind of situations. Brock Thomas, the backup, came in and sealed the W, but wasn't impressed entirely with Oregon, but a win's a win. We've talked about that a lot on this episode.
Yeah, not impressive from Oregon right there. Number 7, we got Georgia Tech taking on Syracuse. Syracuse has not looked good this year. Ever since they lost their quarterback, been even worse. Georgia Tech wins 41-16, and Georgia Tech, man, sitting pretty high up in the AP poll, man. Like that Georgia Tech team. I'm going to be interested to see if they can take a loss in the ACC championship game and still make the playoff because of their resume and what they've been able to do so far. So keep an eye on them Yellow Jackets, man. Or the Hornets. What do they call them? Do they call them the Yellow Jackets or the Hornets?
I just call them the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech.
There you go. Hey, that works. That works.
Yeah, and Georgia in that last regular season game will be a test too, because maybe if they do lose in that ACC championship game and fall to Georgia, what do you take a 2-loss Georgia Tech among plenty of other 2-loss teams I think that we'll see come that time of the year? Georgia Tech 8-0 for the first time since 1966. That's a long time ago. Number 8, Ole Miss with a big win at Oklahoma 34-26. Lane Kiffin can talk his trash because that was a great win over John Mateer and the Sooners.
Yeah, next up, we got number 9, Miami taking on Stanford. I think Stanford was up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter, and I was kind of like shaking my head, like, what's happening here? And then Miami turned on the gas, and they won 42-7. So big win for Miami. Not big win, but a win for Miami.
Yeah, numerically, it was a big win, right? 42 unanswered points after an opening drive touchdown from Stanford. But Miami continues to try to pile more wins in the win column. Number 10, Vanderbilt, big win at home, 17-10 over Mizzou. Diego Pavia trying to get that Heisman Trophy race, going for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Talk to me about number 11, who we just talked about.
Number 11 is BYU Iowa State. BYU wins 41-27. Bear had himself a hell of a game for a true freshman, and this BYU team, they're knocking on the door. They want to play in that college football playoff. They want a spot. So yeah.
Another team wanting to play in the college football playoff had a bye week this week in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We talked about Oklahoma at 13. I just thought it was funny that Xavier Robinson, the running back for Oklahoma, 109 yards, most by an Oklahoma player in a game this season. The run game is improving, potentially, folks. Let's go to 14, Texas Tech, big 42-0 win over Oklahoma State. Texas Tech's first shutout win against a Big 12 opponent since 2005. And honestly, this was one of the quickest starts I think I've ever seen in my life. Jacoby Williams returns the opening kickoff 99 yards for a touchdown, which coincidence, the opening kickoff gets returned for a touchdown after the school banned throwing tortillas on the field after the opening kickoff. Kind of interesting. And then on the next drive, literally the first play, Williams again took a short pass for another touchdown, and all of a sudden it was 14-0 before you could even blink. So Texas Tech off to a fiery start, kicking Oklahoma State's coachless bottom.
15 was Mizzou. We already talked about that game versus Vandy.
Yep, and 16, Virginia by the skin of their teeth and their chinny chin chin and the luck of Belichick. UVA won 17-16 in overtime. You probably saw this one. Instead of kicking the extra point, sending the game into double OT, Belichick decides, I'm going to go for it. Ben Hall falls at the goal line, doesn't reach that ball out just enough. He was there, but didn't extend. Ended up costing the ball game. Belichick explained the decision as just trying to win the game. And that's exactly how it went. Cavaliers continue to improve, that they can win in a variety of ways, right? 3 of their last 4 victories have come in overtime. They've won 6 straight, longest streak since 2007 for the Who's.
Yeah, good win for UVA by the hair on their chin, like you said, though. That was more like North Carolina lost that game than UVA won that game. But that happens sometimes in college football.
Gutsy by Belichick. Gutsy.
Number 17, Tennessee, Kentucky. I really thought Kentucky would show up better during this game, considering how they played Texas last week. But that Texas loss was probably pretty demoralizing because they probably felt like they won that game and then ended up with a loss in their stat record. Tennessee curb stomps them 56-34. Joey Aguilar, and that Tennessee offense is humming, baby. They're cooking with gasoline right now in Tennessee.
Definitely one of the hottest offenses in the country. Kentucky shocked they could score 34 points. On to the next, 18, South Florida. Upset alert! The Bulls, they run short at Memphis 34-31. Memphis, who lost to UAB last week, overcomes that. Then this week, comes up against ranked USF, comes back from a 14-point deficit in crunch time for the win. Nikro Gramatica, 52-yard field goal attempt at the buzzer, sailed wide. Ball game, Memphis Tigers. Upset alert.
Number 19, we got the Louisville Cardinals taking on Boston College, 38-24. I don't know. I didn't really watch this game, to be keeping honest with you, but Louisville won, I guess.
Yeah, they did. I was actually sidelined at this game. Was not impressed with Louisville, but they have this thing where they beat a really good opponent and then the next week absolutely lose it. And they beat Notre Dame 2 years ago, and then proceeded to lose to Pitt the next week. Last year, they beat Clemson, proceeded to lose to Stanford this week. Jeff Brown said, we're avoiding that repeating bad losing cycle, and they got a win at home versus BC, but was not impressed. BC.
It definitely helped. It definitely helped that it was Boston College.
Yeah, I was about to say BC, they found a way in the fourth quarter to get it to them.
Yeah, Boston College. Yeah. I forget they play football. So.
Literally, just yes.
All right,
LSU.
20. That was LSU.
Yep, lost at home versus A&M. A loss so bad you lost your coach in the process. Number 21, Cincinnati, 41-20 win over Baylor and Sawyer Robertson. Hey, Cincinnati Bearcats, they won 7 straight for the first time since they last reached a college football playoff. I'm hearing hums from Cincy. They started fast again on Saturday, 265 rushing yards. Those boys on the ground nasty. Quarterbacks Brendan Swordsby rushed for 85 yards and a touchdown, giving him on the season as a quarterback, a big body Josh Allen looking quarterback, 425 yards and 7 touchdowns. And 4 of his rushing touchdowns are for 20 or more yards. Dangerous backfield there for the Bearcats.
Oh, man, you gave me the pleasure of getting number 22 Texas versus
Just
Mississippi State. Okay, I got some words to say about this one. Texas scores 24 in the fourth quarter. Okay, for starters, I don't think I've watched Texas score 24 points in a single whole game. Well, maybe they've done it, but it's usually pretty ugly. Okay, the way they do it. Ryan Niblett, I don't know what his NIL check is, but if Ryan Niblett does not get a pay upgrade on his NIL scale, I don't know what to say. Texas down 17 points, now down 7, getting the ball with like a minute 30 left. Okay. Ryan Niblett takes his punt return all the way back to the crib. All right, it's to tie it up. Then this game goes into overtime, and I don't know. Texas finds a way in overtime. Got to stop against Mississippi State. They fell back. But, dude, what a brutal loss if you're Mississippi State. You're just so close to getting your first SEC win. They haven't had one in years, man. Yeah. So they were sitting there so close to getting it, and they didn't get it. But Texas, oh, my gosh, you guys have got to clean up like that whole – I don't know what's going on right now at Texas, but you got to figure out a way. I get it. It's the thing though too with Texas is they're playing whole new environments. Texas hasn't been to Mississippi State and heard those cowbells before. Like these are all new things, and those cowbells keep ringing. But if you're Texas, I mean, you've got to put. Come on, we're cooking better bread than this. The bread you're making right now is not a fresh loaf. Okay, we need some better bread. Like I don't know what Texas has to do. Their defense though had probably their worst performance they'll probably have all year. And the offense actually found a way to score points. I guess it only takes being down 17 points for that offense to actually look like it has some life. So that's my thoughts on the Texas game. Oh, Texas wins 45-38.
Texas, instead of bread, let's try bagels. Try something different. English muffins. Like, let's mix it up. Throw some butter on there, and let's get some papa.
Need some more jelly. I think it's missing some jelly or something. I don't know.
Get some jam on there, sweet cheeks. Let's do it,
man.
Talk to me, 23 at Illinois. Fraud.
23, Illinois. Yeah. So every time Illinois loses, I lose a little respect for people for knowing ball because I had Illinois so high in my rankings at one point off of returning talent, and there were so many different reasons. The returning talent, they were winning, and I trusted in them, and I don't know why because Illinois gets beat by Washington 42-25. Just a brutal pick for your boy to have them that high in the preseason rankings. To be fair, I don't believe in preseason rankings, and I only make them for content, but still. Yeah, I lost a little bit of respect for ball knowledge because Illinois forgets how to play football for me.
You know, the best part is that the preseason rankings, well, it feels like yesterday, we're like coming up on week 10 here. So good for you. They don't matter no more.
Yeah, that's long gone. That's the past, baby. Let it go. Like
exactly. We picked Illinois when?
Yeah, I don't even recall. I don't even recall picking Illinois. I thought Illinois was going to be good. No, it must be someone else, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't even you. Number 24, Arizona State. They lost at home, upset to Houston 24-16. Cougars won their 3rd straight game, ranked for the first time since 2022. They got up early they were up 24-0 early in the fourth quarter. Sloppy performance by the Sun Devils, who lost a fumble, had a player ejected for targeting, missed 2 field goal attempts, and were called for 12 penalties. That'll do it to you.
Yeah, number 25, Michigan State. Michigan wins 31-20. I'm going to be honest, I didn't catch much of this game, but Michigan finds a way to win. I got a text from a Michigan State fan that said most Vegas game I've ever seen. So apparently they were not happy with the refs or Las Vegas. But Michigan finds a way to win 31-20 against their rival. They bring home the trophy that you get for that little rivalry. So good for them and good for Michigan to win a little rivalry. It's always good to beat your rival.
Always.
Man, come on.
Don't matter how you do it, Vegas involved or not. If a win's a win.
A win's a win, and if you're Michigan, you're coasting right now. You're 4-1 in the Big Ten. You're still there. You can still make some that Ohio that team they don't mention.
We're gonna talk about that in a minute now.
That Ohio State team. Yeah, I mean they're sitting there for a really good matchup coming up in We'll get there before we know it. Jeez, Let's get it.
Yes, we absolutely will. Let's take a look at some other big games, non-ranked matchups. I've got 3 quick ones. Rivalry game! Kansas State at Kansas, 42-17 win for the K-State Wildcats. Their 17th straight victory in the Sunflower Showdown. Wildcats, they just dominated from start to finish. It was kind of without a doubt. Kansas, they have not beaten their rival since November 1st of 2008, which was 7 head coaches ago. Goodness gracious, Kansas Jayhawks. Tough slate for them in that rivalry of late. Second game, did the Auburn Tigers just find new life?
Oh boy, don't even get me started. That find new life. Are you serious? Did we watch the same game? Because it looks
I'm just messing.
It looks like we were like getting. I don't even want to start. Don't start me. Don't get me started. Don't even do this.
All right, well, I'll give you the base argument here, right? Because Auburn did win 33-24 for those who didn't watch this game because you've checked out the same way I have. Ashton Daniels replaced Jackson Arnold late in the second quarter. Daniels led Auburn on 3 straight field goal drives to start the third quarter. It was an Alex McPherson legacy game. They had lost 4 straight coming into Saturday, all coming against ranked opponents with a margin none greater than 10. So probably feels good for them to get this one. I mean, shit.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Probably feels good for them to get this one, but I kind of wanted to turn it off as I was watching it. Like, to be fully honest, I am so beyond tired of this Hugh Freeze offense. It actually irates me when I have to watch that offense. Like, it makes me want to turn the damn TV off. I actually lose a little bit of love for college football every time I watch Hugh Freeze's offensive play calling. Every single time. I'm not. You're clapping or you're laughing. Every time I have to watch Hugh Freeze call an offense, I know my Saturday is getting worse. Like, I just know as soon as I turn it on, and it's like we're celebrating field goal drives in a Hugh Freeze offense. Like, yay! We let them down the field to us. I'm tired of it, man. I'm done. I'm really am.
You're probably really excited that Hugh Freeze is around for another week.
Yeah, I am so. See, that's the problem. Everybody else is getting all the new coaching hires, y'all. That's the thing. We wait too long. We ain't getting nobody. We're gonna have to hire another damn Hugh Freeze. Come on, guys.
Oh,
what are we doing here? We got John Summerall right there at Tulane. He's just waiting. Come on, guys. Make the damn call. Please. Okay. Sorry.
I so appreciate your passion for that subject. And I guess I'm sorry from your standpoint that they had to disappoint you. Next game, Iowa at Minnesota. Iowa drops a forever program high in 41 points in this 41-3 win. Iowa had rushing, passing, defensive, and special teams touchdowns in this one. Up 31-0 at halftime. Hawkeyes, they've outscored their opponents 103-27 on their current win streak. Offense, you.
Yeah, I got some teams I want to shout out. First off, I got to start out with the KSU Owls. They played on a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And they won. They're 3-0 in Conference USA. You got to give that a quick shout. I didn't have anything else really crazy. Pools of this. Boise State's 4-0 in the Mountain West. They're still making some noise, 6-2. Overall, though, a great slate of college football. I feel like I'm missing a few that I would throw out there, but Nebraska bounced back and beat Northwestern. Got to give credit to that. Oh, the most shocking one for me of the day was Wake Forest, who's 2-2 in the ACC, beat SMU 13-12.
High scoring,
off a game-winning field goal too. So that was impressive. And like you said, Auburn won 33-24. Ugh, but they won. I can't believe Iowa did that to Minnesota though. That was shocking. You mentioned it. Scoring 41 points. It was definitely not on my bingo card for Iowa this year, but they did it against a non-FCS school, an actual FBS school. So shout out them.
Opponent.
Yep.
That's big time stuff. Well, let's keep checking culture as we go into our culture check. Which programs showed identity, energy, or chemistry from week 8 to week 9? I'll let you roll first.
Yeah, I got Texas A&M. That's my culture check right now. The way they're playing offensively and defensively, what they did by going to Death Valley at night and making that look like a non-intimidating environment. It's got to be A&M for me. Like what they did at LSU, I don't think they're going to get even enough credit for what they did because I don't think like I said, I asked you the question too. Have you ever seen Death Valley empty like that at nighttime in a fourth quarter ball game? And the answer is no. So that's my culture check. A&M's got that culture. They got that swagger. Mike Elko, Marcel Reed, Cassius Howell on the defensive side of the ball. They're playing with some swagger right now.
Most definitely. I'm going to go with Michigan. They threw for just 86 yards, but Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall, that tandem has been proven tough. 262 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, knock off Michigan State in a rivalry game. Wolverines have now won 8 straight against rivals Michigan State and Ohio State. And if there's somebody who could shake up the college football playoff picture as we see it right now, I think it could be Michigan if they're putting up numbers like this. They get the offensive passing figured out and let the running game do what it do. I think they could make something shake potentially. So watch out for Dave Portnoy's Wolverines. Let's head now to the Swagger Watch Heisman edition. Who's a player from Week 9 that stood out to you that you think could make a sleeper run at the college football top award?
Well, my Week 9 sleeper was on a bye, but it's okay because he's still getting better, and his name is Kaleb Downs. I think Kaleb Downs is the best player in college football. This is a hill I live. I live on this hill. You can argue with me if you want. I think defensive players don't get enough recognition for Heisman Awards. I feel like it's really turned into a quarterback award, which, don't get me wrong, the quarterback position is really important, but so is the secondary. I think what Kaleb Downs can do, he's my Heisman. If I had a Heisman vote, it's probably going to Kaleb Downs.
Yeah, a guy I think that's in the sleeper Heisman Trophy conversation right now is Marcel Reed. I think it's a name that we haven't thrown around in those conversations, and really, I mean, outside of the interceptions, for no good reason, right? He's got the number 3 ranked team in the country moving, and they're moving with some toughness and some heat right now. Plenty of good quarterbacks in the SEC that they're going to be hard pressed to pick just a handful of them to go to New York. But Marcel Reed, I mean, if they keep winning and he keeps doing what he does and beating LSU by 24 like he did in those kind of games, I think he's a sleeper for a reason. So I like Marcel Reed as my sleeper Swagger Watch Heisman edition this week. Let's look at the flip-flop pick. Confess one prediction you were either dead wrong or dead right about after Week 9.
Yeah, so one of my hot takes, because it was a take, not a prediction. I don't need to explain the difference between those two things today. I feel like anybody watching this probably knows the difference between that. My take was that A&M went into Death Valley and won by 10 plus, and that was my take, and A&M did it. They won by 24, I think, to be exact. So they won by more than 10 plus, and that was my sleeper pick. Not my sleeper pick, my flip. I'm not doing a flop this week. I'm doing a flip. So that's my prediction I got right this week. Was I had a take that A&M would go to Death Valley and win by 10 plus.
Come on, we'll take that. Good one there from you. I picked Washington over 23rd ranked Illinois. I think I said it kind of all along. I think Illinois is overrated. Washington may be one of the underrated teams emerging in the Big Ten, so I picked that one. And then another one I wanted to point out. You know when your best pal has a prediction or a team that they like for no reason, and they constantly push it on you? Well, I have this one friend, and he is, for some reason, and has been his whole life, a South Dakota State Jackrabbits guy. And I had to just let him know in the group chat this week that North Dakota State and the Carson Wentz wagon are going to take it to South Dakota State. And that's exactly what the Bison did. NDSU with a good win over the rival South Dakota State Jack Jumpers. Well, not the Jack Jumpers. What are they? Jackrabbits? The Jackrabbits is actually a team in the NBL that my high school teammate David Johnson plays for. Gotta love the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers.
They are the Jackrabbits, though. You were close enough. Yeah, you were close enough, though.
I was right there.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look now at Week 10 because we'll have plenty more ranked matchups, a lot of good games. I think last week, I guess, what was it, Week 8 was probably the best schedule we've ever seen. So I think week by week we're trying to top what that schedule was, but plenty of good ones on the schedule for this week. I'll hammer down a couple, and you could take whatever's left after I'm done, right? So we got Penn State at number 1, Ohio State. 8 weeks ago, this game would have meant something to somebody, but this time I'm not too sure. Number 9, Vandy at number 20, Texas. If you want to talk about that game, you're more than welcome to. Number 10, Miami at SMU. We talked about SMU this week, but that's a team that's still can be fiery at times, so Miami going there might be tough. Duke at Clemson for you ACC people that think that's important. Arizona State at Iowa State. Battle of teams that have fallen out of the rankings of late. Number 5, Georgia at Florida, I think could be a good test, not only for Florida to figure out who in the world that they're going to be for the rest of the season, but also for Georgia after the bye week to get back in their flow state. You can take whatever games the rest of the way that you would like here.
Yeah, you mentioned the Texas and Vanderbilt game. That's one I think is something if you're a sports betting guy, keep an eye on because that spread opened up at 3.5. It's now down to Texas just 1.5 points. So Vegas doesn't really know who's going to win that ball game. That's basically a toss-up game. You mentioned Miami SMU. That'll be a good game as well.
Yep.
Georgia Florida. You took to mention Georgia's only favored by 7.5 in that game. So keep an eye on that. They think that's going to be about a touchdown game. Vegas does. Texas Tech, Kansas State. That's the game I wanted to highlight because I think Kansas State's finally getting a little groove back again.
Oh, yeah.
And Texas Tech is 4-1 in the Big 12. They can't afford to lose this game. So, yeah, South Carolina is going to at Ole Miss. Miss is favored by 12.5 points. We'll see if that same South Carolina team that showed up versus Bama will show up this weekend. Tennessee, Oklahoma at Tennessee, another big SEC matchup. Tennessee's favored by 4.5 points. Watch that spread, see if it moves a little bit. Don't know if it will, but just keep an eye on that spread because 4.5 is a lot different than 1.5 or 2.5 points. That's all I got. Cincy, Utah. I don't know if you mentioned that game. That's a big matchup. 24 Utah versus number 17 Cincy. Utah is favored by 7.5, being at Utah, and that's the game day location this week.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that that's the game day location, and that game is not till 9:15 my time.
Come on. It's going to be a late Saturday for us.
It's going to be a late one because Oklahoma, Tennessee's at 6:30. But, yeah, 9:15 start time for Cincy, Utah.
No
Pacific
complaints when they dial
zone.
it up all day, though. I mean, there's no complaints over on this side.
It's going to be a damn good day of college football. I think that's the key point there.
100%. You got Oklahoma at Tennessee. I don't know if that's one we mentioned, number 18 and number 14. Number 23 USC at Nebraska, a chance for Nebraska to win a big one at home. And then what I like to call the Duty Bowl of the SEC, Kentucky at Auburn. That'll be fun for those of you who are ride or die fans for some odd reason. I think that will be a great one for you guys because the Duty Bowl is back at Auburn.
Yeah, gotta love that. Auburn plays a home game this week. Woo!
Yay.
Yeah, so excited.
Hooray.
I think it's it's crazy though, as pessimistic as we are being towards the Auburn football program right now, Auburn will still sell out that game and have a majority of people in the stands because that is how much Auburn fans love that program. So just that's a cool shout out to the Auburn faithful. They keep their faith. They call them the Auburn faithful for a reason, but I think these two guys who both graduated from there don't have much faith, and we're just ready for a new chapter. But we'll wait till that new chapter comes, and until then, we'll talk about Auburn football unbiasedly and realistically because that's how we've got to do it.
Yep, let's put the period at the end of the sentence here on this Week 9 chapter of college football. Excited to turn the page to Week 10 next week. Plenty of great matchups like we mentioned. It's going to be another banger, another heater of a week as we come down on the last 4 or 5 weeks here of the regular season, getting into the conference tournament, conference championship kind of time here. It's churning upwards.
Yep, it's the end. It's the ending barn burner of who's going to find a way to win these weeks. Because you win these weeks, you win these weeks, you do yourself a pretty big solid. You lose these weeks, you hurt yourself quite a bit. So, got to win if you're a program that wants to be in the hunt. If you already got 2 losses, it's do or die time, baby. You got to play with your heart out because you get that 3rd loss, the odds you make the college football playoff are slim to none.
100%. Any other thoughts here before we tie a bow on this one?
Just thank you for tuning in. If you're here from the TND link and you watched all this way, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate Vince, my wonderful co-host, for knowing ball. And I just wanted to, thank you guys for being here. This means I love you, or should I love in sign language. I always do this. Been a tradition of mine since I was a youngin'. Should I love, be kind of somebody, do the right thing, do the nice thing, hold the door for that old lady. Do something little. Do something for not just yourself today, tomorrow, maybe the next day. But yeah, that's all I got.
Why have a good week when you could have a great week? We appreciate you guys tuning into this episode of Invincible. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment what you thought. A lot of intense college football on the way here in Week 10, and we can't wait to break it down for you next Monday. My name is Vince Wolfram alongside Kenyon Sheeran. This has been Invincible.